Hi, everybody. I am so glad for those of you who are coming to our event and are thinking about coming to the event, or even just watching us online, to be able to introduce to you another one of our speakers. And she's going to be one of our panelists. And the reason why I want to help you guys know them a little bit better beforehand is because when they're on stage, it's going to go really fast. And I think it's important that you understand each one of these ladies in the depth of their personalities and their lives. And so this is Christa Proctor, and I met her through an organization that her and her husband actually lead called City Pastor Fellowship. And yet her story goes on way before I ever met her, because she's doing a lot of stuff now, but she's done a lot of stuff before. So she is actually ordained as a minister and also does real estate and entrepreneurialism and a lot of really cool stuff. So I want to go back, Christa, and really kind of talk about your ordination process and what was it like being a woman going through that. And then I believe that you and your husband were co-pastors.
Yes, yes. Elaine, I grew up in a home where my parents were pastors. They were co-pastors together of a church, and it was a non-denominational church in Roseville. It had been started in 1963. And I had also been born basically, like, I feel like I cut my eye teeth on the pews, literally. And and my grandmother was a preacher
Oh, wow.
in Visalia, and she was a woman preacher, and her family did not agree that women could preach, but she was in a church that, just it was like all hands on deck, and so she preached. And anyway, I when I grew up, I didn't know that it was a thing that women couldn't, they weren't allowed.
Me too.
So my dad was just always just very willing to share, like, to elevate women or men, like whosoever is
Right.
called, right? And so that's the environment I grew up in. So then fast forward, my parents, they pastored our church for 20 years. They were, like, I think the fourth pastors, maybe the fifth
Mm.
pastors. I can't remember. I did the whole history of the church, but I just can't remember offhand. Then my husband and I took the church. We didn't take the church. We became the pastors after they did. We co-pastored for 18 years. And again, like, I jokingly say I didn't realize I was a female pastor until we founded City Pastors Fellowship, which happened while we were still senior pastoring in Roseville. And that's when we just started developing relationships with every kind of church, every kind of background, every kind of size. I mean, it's so, so beautiful, still, growing and going today. And I laugh. And that's when I realized, okay. I'm a female. That's right. You see me as a female. And so um I didn't, it's okay. Like, it didn't even bother me. And I just thought, oh, all right, that's okay. That's where you're coming from. But my husband and I, we just still just we are who we are.
Right.
And so it's really cool because the vision and mission of unity in the body of Christ supersedes any differences. And so people who have a vision for unity to come together, they're not basing that on doctrine or ideology, or, they're just basing it on essential beliefs that, we're all in this together,
We
preaching
all need Jesus.
Christ,
Yes.
Jesus. So it,
And
it
I
was
and I
really,
and I really love
yeah.
that the whole idea, because growing up in a denomination, I was raised in a denomination that had women or ordained women all the time. And it's funny when I think back, I never saw them. I saw missionaries that were women. I never saw women pastors, but it never dawned on me that I shouldn't be, couldn't be. And then when I went into it, I started getting all these negative, like you shouldn't do that, and that's bad and wrong. And I was like, I was really thinking, wow, did I totally miss something here? And so,
Yeah.
and you were mentioning earlier, really, some about your family, your personal family, and that some of the challenges that you had going through that process. Although that was a wonderful experience. I mean, to have almost 40 years of your family just really growing this one particular church. Talk a little bit about your personal family.
My personal family. So we have four children, four daughters, and the oldest is 23, the baby is 15. So they're all, in that span. And the year my husband and I became pastors, we got pregnant with our first daughter. And so anyway, long story short, our two oldest daughters were diagnosed with autism, which we figured out kind of like what was going on when they were 3 and 5. Up until that point, we thought we were horrible parents, and
Oh,
we just kept
wow.
taking more parenting classes, even though we were getting supports through social work, but no one actually came out and said the word autism. So it's just
Mm.
a whole story. I ended up writing a book called Deception of Disease because once we realized the diagnosis, then we just went into a season of prayer and fasting and just seeking God for answers and knowing that Jesus, if we preach Jesus is healer, deliverer, because we saw our kids actually regress. So we
Mm.
knew what was there, and then we saw the regression. So this is just for us. I would never tell anyone else what to like go after in faith or whatever. But for us, we were just praying that they would be released from anything that would inhibit their full potential. So that's what we were doing while we were being brand new baby pastors. And anyway, it was crazy, crazy ride, but
Yeah,
God
and
was with us.
I think that, like like we were mentioning earlier, is that the massive learning curve. Like you're being parents and you're doing the thing and you're trying to be good new parents, and all of a sudden, and I had a conversation with a client the other day about diagnoses. Like when you
Mm,
get the diagnosis, there's almost a relief. Okay, there's a name for it, and there's a history, and there's an understanding of some sort, and now we know how to move forward. And
mhm,
always bringing God into the picture
mm,
is necessary, regardless
yes,
of all the rest of the stuff. So
yes.
but I appreciate you sharing that because we often see people online, especially for what we see, and that's all we see. And to really hear the backstory of really the fullness of all that you have been through. So you went on to get into real estate and then entrepreneurialism and City Fellowship is kind of like entrepreneurialism as well. So how did that all come about?
Yes. So it when you go to Bible college, you're not taught really even about church growth. You're just taught Bible and scripture, right?
Right.
So you don't really realize when you become a pastor, you are an entrepreneur. And so I now feel that pastoral training should include all of the things that you learn as an entrepreneur. But anyway, that being said, so we were pastors, and then when the crash happened of 08, 09, and everyone was losing their houses, and we were still in the thick of me 24/7 caregiving for our kids. However, my parents did live with us
Mm.
because we combined households to just share the load financially and in every way. So that's how I was able to do a lot of what what I did. But I that's when I thought, how can I make a lot of money in a few hours? That was basically the question. And one of my best friends from college, she's a senior pastor as well and a realtor. And she said, you need to get your real estate license, and you can do it on your own terms, all that. So that being said, I did. And it was difficult. I remember we had one working car. We had three different schools for about 6 months, and Dawn was bivocational at the time. So I would take everyone to school and go work I had 7 real estate hours per week that I could actually build my business. And my coach just finally said, you know what, Krista, and she was a believer. She said, you're actually literally doing everything you can possibly do to build this business. So we're just going to trust God. And when she gave me permission to be okay with my action, that knowing I was doing everything that I could do, that's all. I just want to know am I doing what I can do? Within like 3 weeks, I had 7 escrows in contract. So
Oh,
it's just, um,
and again, when we talk about that feeling of relief, having the permission and a wide variety, when we give permission to people, it's amazing. And all along our lives, people are giving us these little permissions along the way, and to give yourself permission for some things. I mean, it's just so relieving. Absolutely.
absolutely. So it's funny because then once I became a realtor, most realtors look at it as a job that they go to work at, like they're an employee, but I just knew I'm nobody. I don't have a boss. Like it's on me. You're an entrepreneur if you're a realtor. So that grew, and as it grew, I because I wanted to keep growing as a business person, I dove into all kinds of trainings, education, really invested. My husband and I decided, let's invest in ourselves. And so as that grew, it opened up other realities that where I realized, okay, I really at heart am an entrepreneur. And that's part of what appealed to me in pastoring. So it all that those gifts kind of flow together. And so here, yeah, I can't remember your question, Eileen. I don't know if I'm answering it, but as it here's the funny thing. So Don, oh my goodness, to watch him build City Pastors Fellowship, people think you can send an email out for an event and people will come, right?
We're learning that even just with this event, right?
And that is so not true. I've watched my husband for 17 years send 400 personal texts every
Wow.
month to
Wow.
pastors. And he used to get asked, what app do you use to send those texts out? That was before
Before
like
there
there were
was there.
funnels and there were no apps. And even to this day, he still does not use an app. He puts their personal name in it and he sends it. And so we would laugh and we would just say, yeah, it's just thumbs, you know. And so anytime I would preach on a Sunday, he would be up at 3 a.m. just sending out texts to pastors
Mhm.
for hours with prayer. So even now, if I'm building, let's say I'm building a campaign or an event and I just want to fill the thing, I told my friend, I'm going full on Don Proctor mode right now. It's phone calls, texts, emails. It's not a funnel that's going to
Right.
build it.
Right.
It's relationship.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
and even like with this event, doing the same thing and calling those people who I know would benefit from coming and
right,
inviting them and saying, I really want to see you there. Like I want to hug you and I want you to be able to benefit from all of this that we're providing and letting them know that there's something about them personally that you desire to have them participate. Yeah. It's
right.
the same with church, right? Inviting people to church or into fellowship of any kind,
The
that personal
same.
invitation, yeah, is statistically known to make a difference. Yes.
Right.
But we could go preaching and we're not supposed to be doing that. Okay, so we're just about out of time, but tell a little bit about what you're up to today. And so you said you're going to be starting a podcast, you got a YouTube channel, you've got like a teaching kind of thing going on. And can you say all of that in like
Yeah, and I feel like it's all a little infant endeavor because my Instagram got completely hijacked earlier this year. So I'm starting from scratch there, and I had never really built my YouTube channel. So it's a clean slate. It's a new wineskin. I have a new podcast launching. I was going to launch it in March, but right now I'm doing this 30 days of live YouTube streams just to kind of prime the pump, get that going, and then I still doing real estate. I have an amazing team. We love serving people in that regard. And yeah, I'm
talk a little
also
bit, talk, just tell me what is the topic of your podcast and your thing and your
my
deal and
podcast, it's called Taking Ownership, and it's just helping people take ownership of the desires that God has given you and the assignment that's inside of you. Your desire is attached to your assignment. And then I'll be interviewing people who have really like made an impact in their field and like mining the gold and the principles and the nuggets. Like, what is it that was the game changer for them that we can all learn from? And then I'm helping entrepreneurs get their message out through live virtual events as a consultant for them.
yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, again, when we look at, I love being a servant, a servant leader, right? And where we get to gather that information. It's like they call it information brokering. Where you take other people's
Yeah.
information and God's information and you repackage it in something that people can receive and apply like
Mhm.
right away. And that's something that just makes me thrilled because I get to watch people be up leveled really quickly
Mm.
by being able to do that. So thank you so much for hopping in here and joining us today. I'm really looking forward to seeing you again personally and hearing more about what you have to share with us at the Women Rocking Ministry
Yes,
Conference.
yay, it's
So,
gonna be awesome. Everybody
yes.
come, it's gonna be great.
All right, take care.
You too.
All right, bye.